So I just got out of seeing The Flash, and man, oh man.
Okay, you fucked it, but it's alright.
I'm a little bummed out. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm really just going to be kind of ranting about this movie and giving my actual thoughts on it. I have no script, so I'm just kind of working on my raw thoughts. And I also just want to preference before I get into it, I don't think this movie's terrible. It is a good movie, and that's part of my issue with it. Because it's only a good movie, and it should have been a masterpiece movie, because it is adapting the Flashpoint comic arc, the greatest comic book story ever told, and god dang it, how do you screw it up? So I just kind of want to break down my raw thoughts on why I'm disappointed by this. Before I get into it, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Turn on notifications to see more. I'm uploading a lot of content the next month. Also, spoilers are ahead for all of this. Spoilers are ahead for the Flashpoint animated show, the comic book, even probably the TV show I'll talk about a little bit. But yeah, let's get right into it. So The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti, it's okay. The movie tells the basic type of Flashpoint storyline. It really doesn't, actually. I mean, the movie is Flashpoint just kind of in premise alone. Outside of the fact that he saves his mother and the Flash ends up letting his mom die at the end, there's really nothing in this movie that is Flashpoint. And that's kind of my entire problem with this movie, is it tries to tell the Flashpoint storyline in a way that is different, but the things that they changed and the things that they took out from the original Flashpoint storyline just, it makes no sense to me. I understand they wanted to be different, but they took out things that are pivotal to the Flashpoint storyline and put in things that just do not benefit the overall Flashpoint story like whatsoever. The one thing I will say that they did that I was different and I do like it was the inclusion of the younger Barry Allen. I do like that. That's something that's not in the Flashpoint story, and he enters the story and he actually does play a good role because he has that connection of somebody who's never lived without his mother and who's experiencing these powers for the first time. That was a good writing decision. I did like that a lot, and Ezra Miller is great as the character. But that's pretty much it. I mean, Flashpoint is a time storyline. It's really not a multiversal storyline. He changes the timeline, and it changes, I guess you can call it a multiverse, but it changes his timeline. Whereas this, their definition of the multiverse and how his effect, what he did with his mother changes everything. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Also, removing Thomas Wayne's Batman so you could have Michael Keaton in this movie is one of the dumbest, and I don't understand it whatsoever.
It doesn't even make any sense!
When I heard Michael Keaton was playing Batman again, I thought it was really cool. I was open to see how they were going to include him in the Flashpoint storyline, how they were going to make this different, and I was very excited to see him. And yes, Michael Keaton's great. He's got some good scenes, he has got some one-liners, but ultimately his character plays no role in this plot. He plays no role emotionally to the themes of this story. Sure, he's there, he helps Barry at some points, but like, what does his Batman actually serve to the plot line? What does he add to this plot that would not be there if his Batman wasn't there? You could take Michael Keaton out of this movie, you could take his Batman out of this movie and put in any version of that character across the entire multiverse, any version, and the story would work the same. Hell, you don't even need Batman. You could put any character in general and the story would probably play out the same exact way. It's just a meaningless character that I think was just thrown in this movie to sell a few tickets, and so you can have Michael Keaton saying some one-liners in spots that just make no sense. His character just makes no sense in this film whatsoever, and I understand they want, it makes more sense to have Michael Keaton playing the role. You're gonna sell some tickets, I get it, but like, man, it is just such a corny nostalgia bait move. And the same thing sort of goes with Supergirl. I think she gets a little bit more, and Sasha Calle, I think that's how you pronounce her name, is really good in the role, but yet again, her character just emotionally serves no purpose towards the story. And then Zod, oh my god, what have you done to my boy?
Look how they massacred my boy.
Zod is like one of the greatest villains in DC movies ever. He's such a great character, and Michael Shannon plays the shit out of the role. You put in his character, and in this movie, he's just there to be this big, brolic, strong dude who they can't beat. He just serves no other purpose in this thing. And those are things that really bug me about this movie. Not even getting into the third act, which I will get into, but those things alone. You're talking about putting things into this Flashpoint storyline that were not in the original one, and you're putting those things in to replace things that were vital to the Flashpoint story. Thomas Wayne Batman is a vital part to the Flashpoint story, not just in the actions of what he does, but in the themes of what the story actually means. The fact that he lost his son because of the decision that Barry made to change the timeline, that is a big point of the story. Also missing in this movie is the amazing scene at the end of Flashpoint where Barry goes back to his Batman and gives him the letter written by his father. Oh my god, how do they fucking miss this?
You're one hell of a messenger.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
The story about moms and sons, fathers and sons, that's the point of Flashpoint, and they just never dig into that with Michael Keaton's Batman in a way that Thomas Wayne's Batman would have served the story. I don't know why they changed it. Also, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman. How do you miss that opportunity? I can't front on them and taking out Superman and putting in Supergirl. That's fine. It really didn't change much. I do think that changing the Aquaman and Wonder Woman war storyline, like, I understand why they did this. It would have cost them a fuck ton of money. It would have made the movie 10 times bigger. It would have made the movie a Justice League level movie, which it probably should have been. But having those guys end up being the villains, having their war end up destroying the world, it serves a purpose of showing Barry that his actions not only changed, like, some small things, not only changed the fact that, like, Bruce Wayne's dead, but it also emotionally changed the structure of the relationships and his friends and the characters around him. Whereas in this new world, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are at war and they're going to destroy the Earth. These characters that he knows are good in his world. There just was really none of that in this. The film is also missing a villain. And I understand part of the point of Flashpoint is that Barry Allen is the villain. Him changing the timeline is the villain. But the entire time there's a shadowy hand overseeing everything, and that is Eobard Thawne. I know Thawne's been done to death in the CW show, but my God, was this movie missing him. When it comes to the life of Barry Allen, he is inseparable from the Reverse Flash, from Eobard Thawne. Eobard Thawne oversees his whole life. And although they never state that he isn't the one that kills Nora Allen, they really try to avoid it. And I don't understand why they couldn't include him in this movie, even if he was just an observer, constantly reminding Barry that he's an idiot and that he's the bad guy and that he's messed up this timeline, leading towards some sort of final fight between the two. I mean, there's so much more they could have done if they had just included that character. Instead, the villain is this dark Flash thing, this big CGI monstrosity who's on screen for like 20 seconds and is a future version of the young Barry. And like, I mean, I guess it makes sense in essence, but the whole point of his character is that when they fight Zod at the end of the movie, they keep losing over and over and over and over. They keep losing, and they can't ever find a timeline in which they win. And the whole point is that they can't go back to fix something that's broken. It's like a fixed point. It's like a canon event. But in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the best part of the entire movie is when they all lose and Barry runs back in time to save everybody.
Make your own future. Make your own past. It's all right now.
It's the best part of the whole movie, and now you're saying that that moment is essentially irrelevant. And then you also have all the multiversal stuff that's just thrown in. This movie handles the multiverse and the cameos in a way that is so much lazier than anything that Marvel's done, which is shocking. At least No Way Home had some emotional undertones with all these multiverse characters coming in, and they played with respect. They were very respectful towards those characters. At least Doctor Strange had a logical reason for why they were going into the multiverse and seeing all these multiversal characters. It was a little cheap, but it made sense. This movie in the third act just has these balls that represent other universes just start to collide, and you just start seeing these strange characters. You see Christopher Reeve's Superman, you see Nicolas Cage's Superman, which was kind of cool, I'll admit. I'm sure there's a lot more characters you could see that I just didn't notice. I noticed at one point they had Jay Garrick, who is played by the guy that plays the fake Jay Garrick, who plays Hunter Zolomon in the CW show. Now, I don't know if that is Hunter Zolomon pretending to be Jay Garrick, or if the people that made this movie just didn't watch the CW show, but what the fuck? But the multiverse was just handled so lamely, and the Flash is a big multiversal character, and there's so many different ways they could have incorporated it better. First off, where the hell was Grant Gustin? That would have been an easy way to do it, to have Grant Gustin come in and be this wiser Flash that can help guide Barry. I mean, there were just so many different things they could have done. And ultimately, this movie just comes off as being this really cheap and lazy version of this Flashpoint story that it ends up being a CGI mess. The CGI is atrocious in this. The fight scenes are fine. I mean, some of the ideas were really cool. Some of the visuals are cool. I like the suit. I like Ezra Miller's performance. I mean, all the actors came and they brought their A game, but the movie is just another generic nothing burger of a comic book movie. Just really annoying and lame comedy. Really a weightless story. There's just no substance to any of it. It doesn't feel like a movie. It doesn't feel like a story, and it's my frustration with this entire genre, where there's somewhere in it, there's just missing a soul. A soul that you could find in other comic book movies. You could find it in The Batman. You could find it in Joker. You could find it in Man of Steel, the Dark Knight trilogy. Hell, I'll even say James Gunn's Guardians trilogy. You could find that soul in comic book movies. But when it's absent, it just hurts the film so much. And man, when this fucking movie ends, oh my god, George Clooney? Really? They bring in George Clooney as the ending? Whoa, shit moment. I guess the universe really isn't fixed. This movie's supposed to be the one that resets the timeline in the James Gunn's new universe, and that's how they've been teasing it this whole time. And the little piece of the new James Gunn universe they give us is George Clooney, a guy that's most definitely not gonna be James Gunn's Batman. It just felt like a spit in the face. It was so dumb. It was so lame. This movie, that just me talking about it is making me hate it more and more. I mean, it's an okay movie. I know a lot of people are gonna love it. The general audiences are gonna eat it up. Some people are gonna watch this video and go, you're a fucking idiot. But oh my god, comic book fans deserve better. People that like movies deserve better. They need better than this. This is just, what the fuck? I mean, we just gotta cross the Spider-Verse, which proved that you know, you can tell a good multiversal story. A multiversal story that at its core is about the characters and the heart and the soul of the characters. And this, god, even the stuff with his mom, I mean, it was done better in the CW show. Just go watch the CW show, the first couple seasons, maybe not the last few. But that show did the stuff with the mom so much better. And god, I think I've ranted enough, but obviously it's clear that this movie just didn't do it for me. And there was a lot of hype behind it. I mean, they had the greatest marketing campaign of all time. They had Tom Cruise coming out and saying this is the greatest movie ever. Tom Cruise essentially saying that this movie is like the cure to freaking polio or some shit. But yeah, for me, it was just ultimately disappointing. But that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up. I've been talking for a long time. If you guys like these more unscripted things of me just complaining about stuff, leave it down below. Let me know in the comment section. Other than that, make sure to like this video and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one.